Welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. The show will begin momentarily.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Super Happy Dragon Lucky. This is episode 9A, 90A, the 155th episode. We're almost to 3 years. Reminder, nothing on this show is financial advice. This is all updates about Dragonchain projects and related news. So make sure you stay tuned after all the updates for an AMA. We will reward the top 3 questions based upon total vote, regardless if they're answered live. But 3 questions today. This week on Number Go Up, it is farmer revolutions, and essentially, see, if you are not watching what's happening in the Netherlands and Sri Lanka, you should be. It's starting. I think there are even a few other countries that are weighing in that there's a lot going on. Support your local farmer and make sure you track what's actually happening, because there's a lot going on in that world right now with fertilizer and carbon and everything else coming into play. And there's a lot of stuff that's kind of dangerous going on there. So pay attention to that. Next, let's see here. Dragonchain updates. First off, we released the Q2 2022 report. Do go check that out. It has a lot of info in it. If we scroll down, it gives a highlight of the response to the SEC, which you should go. Here's the summary of it, but you should go and read the full paper. It's actually a really good look into the history of Dragonchain, why things are the way they are, and a lot of what happened and all of the innovations that we've seen, that we've accomplished with the team. Next, Dragonchain core development. There's a little section in there, and there'll be more to come about this, but essentially what it is a refactoring, a revamping of a few things where we realized that there were issues for high volume blockchains that were using more memory than they should, and we're improving that. And it wasn't a memory leak; it was just the tooling that was in there. A couple of the libraries where we were using were not ideal for how we were using them. So that's going to be in place. We already have it out. I'm not absolutely certain which systems will be using it first, but we're actually looking at a few of the bigger systems that we operate to give it a good run. And we also, with that, should mention that this has opened the door for a, how do I say this, doing a few things different that will, based upon our experience with how developers use the platform and the Dragonchain network itself, that should greatly enhance the ease of use for developers. It'll make it fit much, much more directly into the way that you would already build an application. So essentially it would make it very easy to add blockchain to nearly any application, and it would also make it really simple for a developer who does not know much about blockchain or potentially doesn't even care about blockchain to use Dragonchain, very similar to the way that they are already handling their data. So it's a huge advancement, although it's kind of abstract. So when we get that rolled out, I know that we have at least 2 customers that are likely to start using it very quickly, maybe 3, and we'll get some really good feedback right away. And there are a couple of things that we had to pull back, features that weren't being used anyway, and we're going to decide whether to re-implement those or not. But anyway, it's a very exciting update that is about to roll out. So next, blockchain outreach. So I participated in the Berkeley Art, Finance, and Law Symposium event where I was on a panel, and it was essentially about all of those things and how interesting it can be. There were amazing questions from the audience. Of course, there were a lot of lawyers there, and a lot of them were, in the VC world because it's in San Francisco, or they are in the arts, or there were a lot of even NFT people there. So it was a really good show. You should go check out that. The link is in there. You can watch the entire panel. Next, I was on the Sentinel Report with Alex Newman. He's basically, and I hope I sum up this correctly, I mean, he's basically a really well-placed libertarian who has a show on the Pillow Guy Network. And I actually, before I was on, watched a couple of episodes, and I really like the guy. I really agree with him. He has invited us back, but I was in the middle of a move, so we don't know if that'll get delayed or not. But hopefully we'll be able to go back on there in the very near term and talk to him about the SEC situation and our letter back in response to the SEC. So, and he's agreed to talk about that, and we'll hopefully be able to get some good insight from him related. Next, I had been on Startup Savants, which was actually really well produced, and they went over a lot of the history of Dragonchain and blockchain fundamentals. I got to mention a lot of the more fundamental reasons or capabilities of blockchain, which was very valuable because they obviously talked to a lot of startups, and that was kind of my goal, to get some exposure of the non-speculative side of blockchain, and what can be done for and with those or by those startups. So pretty good stuff. You should go watch that. Next, we were mentioned in the NASDAQ blockchain report, which at first I didn't realize it was new. I'm like, oh, that is new. That we were first mentioned on hybrid blockchains along with Ripple, and it was just a very, very good placement, SEO and the like. So it's a good thing. And I guess we talk about hybrid blockchain all the time. It's probably how we got on there. Next, articles in Cointelegraph Innovation Circle. So my article on leveraging blockchain for transparency and fairness in gaming and contests, essentially talking about what we have advertised before as the provable, fair systems that you can use for contests and giveaways and things like that. But this is looking at a broader angle, and it is relatively high level because we only have so many words that we can put in there. But hopefully, I captured it well. That it essentially talks about the fundamental value of using the blockchain as your dice, essentially, as your entropy, as your randomness, instead of relying on what might be considered to be the most random input in reality, as an atomic clock typically is used. That we are using one or more blockchains to essentially grab a randomness from the world, and it's not definitely not probably scientifically actually random, but it is a source of entropy that is measurable, which is the important thing for us. That something that you could say, hey, you can't predict this, and I can measure how expensive it would be for you to pretend that you predicted this. That's what's important for this, because essentially any character creation or any random event in a game can leverage that. And there are a lot more things, obviously, but that's, I think, a super, super amazing thing that the gaming world needs to pick up on. That is blockchain, and is not a speculative use. Is not something that rich people can come in and beat games. In fact, this makes it even more, how do I say this, more to what they are wanting, that they can prove that no one, rich or poor, or the platform owner's nephew can't get a better position than anyone else in a tournament or a game. So anyway, go read that. It's important. Share it if you can. I think they like that. And let's go. Is there anything else? Let's see here. Yeah, if you can go. They've quoted us a number of times in when they have the how 12 things to do with something, right? A lot of those that they're putting out. And hopefully we'll have another article soon. We haven't started on that. And then appearance in best startups, a site that listed a bunch of startup stuff, and they brought us in. Then we go to new blogs. Let's see here, which we had the blockchain trilemma, which is about, how do I say, scalability, security, and decentralization, and how Dragonchain's architecture answers all of those big questions in very compelling and novel ways. So you should read that. You should share it. Enhanced blockchain as a service, which is, a very enterprise specific thing, but it's essentially saying that you can come in and get blockchain capabilities in a very flexible way as a service, and not have to go through all the craziness you would have to on other platforms or other networks. So, and then capability briefs that we put out about our consulting and development services, very important. We're using that a lot. Blockchain-based proof of GDPR compliance. The fact that you can answer that question if it pops up anywhere. We've already done it, and that includes HIPAA and was it CCPA from California, and anything else that might be a privacy requirement. We had a paper about quantum safe supply chains with line of sight visibility. This is about encrypting data at rest and encrypting data in transmission, and unique ways to do it. It's with our partner Aquid. And then super happy Dragon Lucky, which we've had a number of shows this year. You're here now. And on Den.Social, we had, let's see here, chat was just was released in full. There's still a little improvements in the UI we're working on. So if you see anything you'd like to adjust there, let us know. We're always looking for feedback. Smart tags were just put out recently, which is essentially the very beginning of turning on APIs to allow smart contract access from a layer so that you can customize the communities more. But this was a site-wide implementation to introduce that along with tags. So when you tag certain content, the system will automatically do certain things. Okay, then we go to the DENDAO votes. There are a number of votes. So LCP winners votes. There was a 2 separate prioritization votes, which led to the integration of smart contract APIs and anonymous posting. And there are more. There are a lot of votes this quarter, so you just need to click on the link and go check them out. It's a system that's working, and it is a direct, I would even say, a reference implementation of a behavior system applied to a DAO. That it isn't just the number of tokens you hold. It also relies, your weight in the vote relies very directly on your actions on the system. So very important, very interesting. The LCP, we've had, what, 3? This is a quarter. So we had the April LCP, we had the May and the June. And so I believe that the June, or yeah, the July one just finished, but it's not in this report. World Blockchain Roundtable. We've gotten through a bunch of those, and it has become a fully functioning DAO. Let's see here. Well, anyway, go check all that out. We had stuff on a lot of different features on the system and things that you should know about. And then merch, there is a merch code in here for, and there it is, JoJo Q2 2022, 10% off all the JoJo merch. And let's see here. I think is that everything? That's everything. Okay, so next we go. Sorry, that was a long update, but it was worth it. Next we go to the DEN.Social updates. So first off, LCP, we had July 2022 LCP results. Top, the number one in unique voters was Craft Beer, 59 unique voters with 2.2 million lore committed. So there will be 2.2 million lot. Jacob Wayne proposed the layer in February of 2022. Congratulations. We finally got that out, and you'll get, I think, 10,000 lot from Den as well. The number 5 by most lore committed was Preppers with 919,000 lore committed and 35 unique voters, proposed by Dragon Striker in September of 2021. Nice. And then the number 13 by most lore committed is The Modern Man with 471.6 thousand lore committed and 34 unique voters, proposed by Rocket Launch in April of 2021. So that's over a year ago. So that's awesome. The runners-up and alternative options also exist, which means that anyone in the top 5 runners-up can be created for 200 to 1,000 matter, depending on his ranking, by 200s. And the alternative creation option is that any layer proposal with 8 or more unique committers can be created for 2,500 matter. All of those requests would be due by July 24 at 23:59:59 UTC. So by the end of the day on Den time, you have on July 24th, you have to have that processed and ready to go. So that's all the LCP stuff. Tune in tomorrow for Coffee with Den at 0900 Eastern, 0600 Pacific. And the DENDAO meeting, which is a live call, is this Thursday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. UTC. See the post in the DENDAO layer for the agenda and the link to join live. You're welcome to join. It's a meeting. It's not a show, so you don't have to show your face, but it is useful to have people come on and offer ideas, proposals, complaints, questions, anything that might make sense and might be harder to type up and go back and forth. It might be easier to get on there and get a back and forth going. So you should show up if it fits and if you need anything. Next, we'll go to the roundtable. So World Blockchain Roundtable Update, episode 61 will be on Thursday. And the topic is DAOs as a constitutional city-state. Let's see here. Do go and leave a question or a subject to discuss so that people can rank it, evaluate it, and it might get you on your question on the show. And then also watch and share last week's Raising Capital episode. The more views it gets in the first week, the more lot all the participants will get. I actually wasn't on it, but did watch it. It was really good. There were a lot of really good points made. Well worth the watch. And then make sure you watch this Thursday at 3 p.m. UTC. It's 8 in the morning Pacific time. That's all the updates. So we're going to go straight to the AMA right after this.
The internet is broken. Business models and site design are entirely geared toward advertising and not the reader. On today's internet, advertisements are distracting, invasive, and overwhelming. In DEN, the primary objective is quality content. Instead of ads, you may occasionally see a boosted post where a user has risked value to increase its visibility. Just like any other post, you can upvote or downvote to help evaluate the relevance to your community. The more engagement a boosted post gets, the less the booster pays. Depending on the evaluation process, a booster can get up to 85% of their money back, if the post is well targeted and engaging. In DEN, quality content is the primary objective.
Okay, so now we go in here and we refresh the AMA questions. Sorry. Let's see here. So top 3 questions. Who is first? Okay, Kratos, got a boy. What's Dragonchain doing with blockchain gaming? I saw an interview with Kalkine Media that piqued my interest. I wonder what's the Kalkine Media? I don't know what that is. But we are, one of the secret projects is in that sphere. That we have a bunch of things going on. We have one project that is a platform specific thing where it's more than anything kind of like a, game capabilities as a service or blockchain capabilities for gaming as a service, whatever I don't know what you call it, but there is one that would also be kind of the foundational bits of a game as well. And we have a couple of brewing partnerships that are related to all of those, where there are other projects that had similar ideas, similar visions that we think will fit together in some way. And whether it's more of a federation or consortium, or whether it is something where it's a platform-specific collaboration, we don't know. But there's a lot of stuff going on there, and you can imagine, even based upon that Cointelegraph article, what I'm thinking and what is needed in that world. And of course, we're very cognizant of the issues that are being called out, rightly so, by a lot of gamers, that they don't want the FOMO. They don't want the person with the most money coming in and having an unreasonable advantage in a game, because it makes it not fun anymore, which is the point. And I think that's what we are trying to do, not to add NFTs to games, not to make NFT games. What we're trying to do is to show how blockchain can be used to make fun games more fun, or more playable, or more fair, or more at least provably fair, that you can actually come in and know that you're not being cheated, that you actually know that you have a rightful, fair, equitable positioning with anybody else playing it. So behavior focused, as an example. So I don't know, pay attention. Hopefully we'll have something that will be rolling out soon that would at least open up what we're doing to people, so they can start paying attention and potentially collaborating, taking part. So anyway, watch for that. Really good stuff. Good question. Thanks. A lot of energy. That's good. Let's see here. Next question. DanCan Lieutenant, DanCan LT. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it time what makes Dragon quantum safe? If yes, how much as a percentage? And if time gets tokenized, would that be a sensibility for keeping Dragon quantum safe? Okay. We've often said that the Dragon chain architecture is quantum resistant. Number one, because it splits up the consensus among 5+ verification consensus contexts, which is the whole point of the architecture itself. Even the name is context sensitive verification. So it is that every one of those, level 2 is validation, just to make sure that all of the transactions on all the blocks are valid, they're signed, all the normal things. The next level is diversity check, which is that those validations came from a diverse set of consensus nodes. The fourth level is a notary check, which is just that, what you would consider a notary in the real world, that someone who is known or knowable has signed this thing. So they're signing blocks. And then the fifth is the interchain, or I think in the white paper we called it checkpointing, but it's essentially, that was a long time ago that was written, and it was formulated in 2014. So you can imagine the semantics and how to describe it change, but that last level is where we add a tremendous amount of novel security and measurable security, which is unique to Dragonchain, that we specifically, number one, envisioned that first. That was a conceptual thing that I brought to the table when Disney was interacting with the W3C related to blockchain tech. And it was something that to this day, no one else is doing, which is really bizarre to me, but it's extrapolating, estimating a value of the security itself and how much it would cost to fake what you are showing someone. So all of that together is primarily what makes Dragonchain quantum resistant. Another step with time is, and you could say this does affect the ability to resist a quantum attack, but it is that the time measure, the amount of time that a verification node stakes against their chain, and how they compete for the fees, that time is a behavior component applied to the network itself, where the one main behavior is how long you've held those and how they move around. Theoretically, you could add other components to that, and we have a patent on that, of course. Primarily, that was applied for scalability, because it is a way to compete without competing with specialized hardware, as an example. And it definitely affects the security. And the weird thing is it affects the security in a time-based way, where if someone is attacking the network, you are going to be able to see their positioning and see that attack in advance. And the great thing, again, is that they would have to compete against a great many other nodes on each of the verification levels with that time. So you should see it coming. So yes, it does have a piece of that. And then I will get to this, the last bit. If it were tokenized, would it affect that? I don't think so, at least in the main way. There are a couple of ways that it would affect it. I don't think it would break it. Primarily that if we tokenize it, you would still be generating new time, but you would have to compete for that time. So that would be one piece there. And we think, I think that you would also have to burn or melt time as it is used. So for every verification, you would melt a little bit of time, but you would get your reward for that. The same for any new transactions, so that effectively it would help a lot with the inflation of time, number one, in two different ways. One is the competition itself, where everyone would be competing to make a certain amount of time over a window. And the other would be that it would be essentially burning or melting as it is used by the businesses and by the verification node runners. So that is a topic, though, for further discussion. We should talk about that more as we talk about that plan to roll that out, because it could be coming quicker than we expect. I would hope so, but it depends on a bunch of different factors. So it's one of the big things that I have on my list. Should certain events happen, that we will probably be, opening up the discussion for one, but then, starting into some form of a phased implementation. Okay, next up, Crypto Curious, Wen L5 access, thanks. Now I'm going to bring this up. I don't know if he or she, has mentioned this anywhere else, but I was asked, what would it take to run an L5? And we do know that we had one customer, as an example, very recently that asked us, they want, this is a Rainmaker, they wanted to have an interchain with BSC, with Binance Smart Chain, because they were doing NFT things on Binance Smart Chain, and they wanted that for the security as well added. So they funded that. It was added. We still operate it because I did offer it to them if they want to operate it, if they want to apply time. It wasn't on their priority list, and with resourcing and everything. So we are operating that. They are funding the Binance tokens and things like that. So I brought it to the team, and we didn't have anything official, but generally the criteria, and we're going to write up something that is official for this, but the criteria to do this would be a variety of things. And this is not official, so don't quote me on all this, but it will be something related to, if you come to us and you fund the actual integration, which typically for most chains is not too expensive anymore. But you would have to have something in there, or at least some consideration. There might be cases where we pay for part of it or something else, but we would want the consideration that it costs money to do it, and time at least. The second is the operating itself, that there's a token cost depending on most of the networks. You have to pay for every, depending on the cadence, you have to pay for every verification on a level 5 or checkpoint on a level 5. And you also have to pay to run that node. And maybe if you came in as a group, maybe even a group of community members who wanted to do this, and you are running that L5 node on, in the cloud somewhere or wherever, that operating, or if you're paying us to host it, would have to happen. And then the time you could apply 0 time if you wanted, but the assumption is you would apply a certain amount of time. And then the other interesting piece would be the ability for you then to have, the one of, I think there are 4 L5s running right now. So you'd have a 20% hit on the verifications, depending on how often it ran. And, so you could get some decent fees out of it. And we also would probably have a consideration for, priority at least given to those who have good reputation on the network already, that you're already running nodes. How much time do you have in the system? How much, and I mean literal time as well as calendar time. So a bunch of things like that, of course, would be considered as well. So, if you came to us as a community and said, hey, we want to run a Polygon node, or we want to run a Solana node, we would definitely welcome it. And anyway, let us know if you're interested. So that was it. And by the way, Crypto Curious, if you do, and if you don't want to, anybody welcome to, please make a post in the Dragonchain layer, and we can maybe get into a full discussion there. And if I have time, I'm in the middle of a move, but if I have time, I will do it if I don't see it too. So anyway, that's it. So 3 questions. If I get a chance, I'll read the rest and see if I can answer anything. And I think that's, let's see, that's all of that. Let's go to merch. So all America's Blockchain merch is now 10% off. So the code is Americas-Blockchain-2022, and it is with an apostrophe, I do believe. So America _S-Blockchain-2022. That's the code that is active until July 31st. Make sure to read the quarterly report for the extra merch coupon code, which I gave earlier, but hopefully you'll go read the report anyway and grab it there. Copy and paste it anyway, just in case there's a misspelling. Anyway, and in closing, make sure you watch Super Happy Dragon Lucky next Tuesday. Follow us, Dragonchain, Real Denizens, and Jojo Row on Den especially, and on Twitter and LinkedIn, everywhere else. Make sure you like, comment, share, so on. Have a good week. Thanks.
Now, more than ever, our data is at risk. Our supply chains are in jeopardy. Our systems are broken, and businesses feel powerless. Dragonchain gives you a different way, a safer way, a better way, and you have power over your data. Dragonchain gives you proof in an untrusted world. Build now at drgn.com. America's Blockchain.